Hi, I'm Annie. I'm joined today by Charlie and Sanchia, and we are going to be moving through a yoga practice of around 45 minutes or so. So, we're going to start by coming to a comfortable seat. It might be useful to use a block and a strap in your practice. If you don't have blocks and straps, you can always grab a cushion or a book or a belt. It might be helpful. So once you've got what you need, find a comfortable seat. So perhaps that's coming into a cross-legged position, or maybe that doesn't feel good and you find an alternative. But just make yourself comfortable so that you can sit here for a couple of moments. And once you've found your seat, begin to close your eyes. And it can be challenging to close the eyes, but notice if your eyes are flickering around behind the eyelids. And rather than trying to force the eyes closed, just start to soften. Soften the gaze behind the eyelids. Soften the jaw. And just come to a place where you can start to invite a little bit of stillness into the physical body. And we're finding that stillness in the physical body as an invitation of stillness into the mind. So you'll notice through the practice that your mind will wander around. It's perfectly normal. But just whenever you notice that happening, start to settle back to stillness again when you can. And as you sit here, notice the points of contact between your body and the ground beneath you. We talk a lot about grounding in a yoga practice, and really it's this sense that you are supported by the ground or the earth beneath your feet or beneath your seat. So letting yourself be here held and supported by the ground beneath you. And maybe you start to notice the movement of breath as it draws in and out of your body. And you don't need to do anything at all to force or change the breath. You're just noticing it as it comes in and out of the body. Noticing if there's any tightness or stickiness at any part of the inhale or exhale. And starting to use the breath as a point of focus to help settle the mind onto this single thread of breath that moves in and out of your body. And as you sit here on the mat, perhaps you set an intention for your practice. So maybe that's just to be really present and experience whatever it is that comes up as you move and breathe on your mat today. Or maybe you make a dedication and let this practice be an offering to somebody or something that you love. Or maybe there's another intention that would help you to stay focused in your practice today. And then when you have that intention or you've found your breath, you can maybe bring a little bit of space between the lips and gently blink the eyes open. And without letting yourself get distracted by everything going on around you, gently bring yourself to stand at the top of your mat. And there's no rush, so as we make our way through our practice today, I'm going to be cueing you at a certain pace, but at any time if you need to move faster or slower, just know that this is your practice and you can go at the pace that suits you and your body today. So as you arrive at the top of your mat, you find your feet either with the toes touching or hip width apart, but see if you can get this kind of equal sense, this distribution of the weight evenly through the soles of your feet. And as you root down through the feet, feel this sense of pushing up against you from the ground. So the feet are grounded down, but the top of the head is lengthening up and the spine begins to get a little bit longer. And noticing whether even just coming and standing still on your mat is uncomfortable or you feel fidgety. Just see if you can come back to that thread of breath and find a moment of stillness. We're going to move through a sun salutation, Surya Namaskar A. So we begin by taking the arms over your head. Take a breath in. Then fold forward, softening the knees if you need to. You can use blocks here. You're going to lengthen the spine halfway. Then press the palms to the earth and step back to a high plank. The knees can drop to the ground if that's more comfortable. From here, we're going to lower down, so maybe the knees connect to the ground first, but we keep the spine long as the elbows wrap to the waist and you lower your chest to the ground. Coming through a cobra pose, lower body stays connected to the ground, but the chest peels away from the floor. Then as you exhale, you tuck your toes and push back to a downward facing dog. And take a couple of breaths here in your downward facing dog. Just loosen up the body, loosen up the breath. As you lengthen the hands onto the mat, lift up through the seat, but let the knees be soft so you can really feel the back of the body lengthening. And then with your next breath, begin to walk your feet to the top of the mat. You can take lots of little steps and bend the knees as much as you need to. Then when you arrive with the feet and hands together, fold over your toes. Root through your feet and inhale, rise all the way up to standing, little micro bend in the knees. And exhale, bring the hands back through the heart center. Nice. Same again. Take an inhale, raise your arms over your head. Exhale, fold forwards, palms to the earth. Take a long spine as you extend halfway. Then plant your palms and step back to high plank. Nice. You can lower the knees, then bring your chest to the ground. Spine stays straight and core is engaged. Inhale to peel the chest away from the floor, cobra pose. And exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Nice, having a little bend of the knees from side to side, loosening up the body, finding your breath. And maybe you notice the thoughts or the conversations that come up in your mind and see if you can slowly let them drop away, come back to the feelings in your body and the movement of your breath. Then begin to walk the feet towards the top of the mat. And as you arrive, you fold over your toes. Nice, root through the feet, rise up, inhale all the way to the top. And bring your hands through the center of your chest. Release them to the sides. We're going to take Surya Namaskar B, our second sun salutation. So bend the knees, take a chair pose. Lengthening the navel, arms alongside the ears. Fold forwards, place your hands either side of the feet. Just like before, you look up halfway as you inhale. Nice. Step the feet back, find a high plank. So you're pushing through the heels and the crown of the head, lower down with control, elbows draw in towards the waist, chest is forward. Good, inhale to peel into your back bend, and exhale, downward facing dog. I'm going to step the right foot between the palms and ground the back heel down. Raise the arms over your head, warrior one. If the back heel lifts away, it's fine. You can take more of a lunge pose, but try to keep the hips facing forwards. Release the hands either side of the front foot, stepping back to your high plank. And if it becomes too strong to lower down each time, you can skip straight to down dog. Otherwise, bend the elbows, maybe release the knees first. Inhale to open up and lengthen the spine as the chest comes forward. And exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Same on the left side, step the foot between your palms at the top of the mat. Ground the outside of the back foot and raise the arms over your head. Beautiful. Try to draw the lower ribs in. The knee stacks over the ankle. And then release the hands, frame the foot, and step back. Good. Remember to keep breathing, steady breath as you lower down, draw your elbows in towards you, really using the support of the muscles all the way down. Lengthening open into this beautiful back bend here. Feel a nice stretch and exhale back, downward facing dog. Maybe taking a breath in through the nose and a big sigh to let it go. Perhaps drop the knees to the floor. Send your hips to your heels. Child's pose. So you can come back to this child's pose at any time if the practice feels too strong or you lose your breath. You want to take a little break. But when you're ready, let's tuck the toes and come back up to a downward facing dog. Nice. Taking the right leg up behind you, start to lengthen all the way through the side of the body. Good. Now step that foot between the palms at the top of the mat. And if it doesn't get there in one smooth step, you can always use your hand to shuffle the foot forwards. You're going to drop your back knee to the floor. Send your hips down and forwards as you start to reach your arms over your head and untuck your back toes. Good. So rather than collapsing into the lower back, squeeze your inner thighs and have this sense of lengthening through the lower back. If this feels good, you can stay as you are, or you can take hold of the left wrist with the right hand and gently pour your body over to the right side. Beautiful. Take an inhale, come back to center. As you exhale, lower your hands either side of your foot. Maybe grabbing the blocks if you need a little extra couple of inches on the arms, and start to peel your hips backwards towards your heel. So you're coming onto the heel of the front foot to take a hamstring stretch. Now keep your upper body forward. So you're lifting the chest, drawing the shoulders back, good, lengthening through the spine. And breathe. Let the exhale draw you a little bit deeper if there's space. Can you peel your toes towards you a little bit more? Nice. And then coming forwards again, place the right foot on the floor. Frame the foot with the hands and tuck your back toes behind you. You're going to step the left foot to the top of the mat and fold over your toes. Good. Bend your knees, taking a chair pose as you lengthen through the front of the body. Then fold forwards, place your hands on the ground. Look up halfway as you inhale, feel the sides of the body stretch. Then step back to your high plank. And you can choose to take that transition, the vinyasa, as you lower from high to low plank, or you can just lift your hips to downward facing dog if that's more comfortable. Beautiful. Take your seat back, downward facing dog. So this time, left leg rises. And step the foot between the palms at the top of the mat. Drop your back knee to the floor and reach your arms over your head as you untuck your toes. Now try and lift up through the lower back. Draw your lower ribs together. Have a little wiggle round if it feels good. Maybe you catch hold of the right wrist in the left hand and pour your body over to the left side. Otherwise, stay as you are. Feel the breath in the sides of the body. Take an inhale to come back to center. Then place the hands either side of the foot, grabbing your blocks. Start to transfer the hips backwards towards the heel, coming onto the heel of the left foot and folding the torso over the leg. It doesn't matter if the chest is a long way away from the shin. It's much more important that the spine is straight, the shoulders are drawing back away from the ears, and the sternum is lengthening towards your big toe. Nice, and breathe. Then place the hands forward, bend into your left knee. Frame the foot at the top of the mat. Tuck your back toes behind you and push through the heel as you step the right foot to meet the left at the top of the mat. Forward fold over the toes. Nice. Bend your knees. Take a chair pose. And then push through the feet. Come all the way up to standing. And gather your hands to the center of your chest. Maybe close the eyes if you feel yourself distracted and come back to the sensation or the feeling in the soles of your feet. Take a breath in through the nose and a sigh to let it go. Raise your arms over your head. Inhale. Exhale, fold forwards, palms to the earth. Look up halfway as you inhale. Step back to a high plank. We're going to hold the high plank for a moment, so drop the knees if you need to. Feel this kind of rounding through the backs of the shoulders as you push the ground away. Core is engaged. Take a breath in. As you exhale, drop your knees to the floor, but send your hips to your heels. Take a child's pose. Nice deep breath in through the nose. And open the mouth to let it go. Then tucking the toes, make your way up to a downward facing dog. Nice. So when you're ready, take the right leg high behind you. You're going to step the foot between the palms for a high lunge. So square the hips and start to raise the arms over your head, pushing through the back heel. You can take a little micro bend in this back knee so that you can feel the opening up through the front of the back hip. Nice. Now, as you inhale, lengthen and reach up a little bit higher. We're going to come into warrior two. So dropping the back heel to the floor, opening the chest and hips, and bending the front knee. So the right knee stacks over the right ankle. And rather than letting this knee drop in towards one side or the other, you're going to really squeeze and use the muscles of the thigh to keep that leg nice and supported. And you can have a look down and make sure you can see your toes on the inside of your knee. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. And if your fingers are really stretched, just let everything soften and relax the jaw as well. Nice. Turning the palms down unless it's uncomfortable on your shoulders. Now from here, we're going to move into triangle pose. So start to straighten the right leg, but without locking the knee. You can use a block that's really helpful. So start to extend your right arm forwards, like you're lengthening all the way to touch the side of the room. Then take the back of the right hand to the inside of the right leg. You can place it towards the ankle or the foot, or maybe you rest it a little bit higher on a block to the inside of the leg. Then move your left arm up in the opposite direction. You're extending through the side of the body, but rotating the upper part of the torso around. Beautiful. And as you push through the outside of the back foot, the whole of the back leg switches on. Take an inhale and come back through your warrior two. Bend your right knee. Then place the forearm onto the thigh and sweep the left arm alongside the left ear for extended side angle pose. So again, we're pushing through the outside of the back foot and then using that to create length all the way towards the fingertips, letting the left shoulder melt down the back of the rib cage, softening the fingers, turning the palm down and then lifting the gaze to the palm. Nice. Now place the left hand to the floor. Come onto the ball of the back foot and take your right hand to the outside of the right foot. You're going to step your left foot just a little bit closer towards the right and start to ground the outside of the back foot to the floor. This is a good one for blocks as well, so you can use a block or a cushion under each hand to help the spine grow a little bit longer. And then you begin to fold down over the front leg, lifting through the right thigh so that you're not pushing back and locking the knee. Feeling a stretch through the backs of the legs, maybe the back of the body. Nice. And then releasing the blocks or whatever you have underneath your hands. You're going to step your left foot to the back of the mat again. So place the hands to the floor, step the left foot back, step the right foot back, lower your knees to the ground, and take a child's pose. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, and a sigh to let it go. Let's take it onto the other side. So reaching your hands out in front of you. When you're ready, tuck your toes and come up to a downward facing dog. Nice. Maybe have a little wiggle with the hips if that's what you need. Otherwise, just find your down dog and come back to the movement of breath in and out of your body. Let's reach the left leg up behind you with your inhale. Step the foot between the palms at the top of the mat. As you inhale, reach your arms alongside your ears, lift your chest, high lunge. Feeling the stretch through the front of the back leg. And just making sure that your knee is stacked over your ankle. So really squeeze your bum on the left side to support that leg in space. Take a breath in, lift up out of the waist. And open up to our warrior two. So the heel drops down at the back. You lengthen your arms in opposite directions and your chest and your hips are parallel to the long edge of the mat. The breath is soft. The shoulders are soft. And the more you root down against the outside of the feet, the stronger the legs can lift up and support you here. Beautiful. Let's take a triangle pose. You're going to straighten the left leg. Start to extend the fingertips and the whole of the torso forwards. Then turn the back of the hand to the inside of the left leg. Extend your right arm up to the sky and let this rotation of the upper body start to peel around the spine. The legs are engaged. The core is switched on. Softening your jaw. Beautiful. Now bend the knee. Take the forearm to the thigh and sweep the right arm down and around so it arrives alongside the right ear. So we have this one long line from the outside of the foot to the fingertips. Nice. The breath is steady. Take the gaze down to your left foot. Place your right hand to the floor and pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Left hand frames at the other side and you step your right foot a little bit closer towards the left. Now lift up onto the fingertips or place the hands on blocks. Straighten your left leg by pulling up through the thigh. And then fold down, hinging at the hips, but without rounding the back of the body. It doesn't matter if the back heel is lifted, but try to distribute the weight through the back foot evenly. Nice. Take another inhale, lift your chest, place the hands to the floor and step back to a high plank. From your high plank, hold it strong. Squeeze the outer hips together, engage your core, lengthen the back of your neck. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Beautiful. Turn your left ear to the mat. Let your hands rest by the sides of your body and bring the tops of the feet to the floor. Maybe you have a little rock from side to side, just massaging the front of the hips, having any little wiggles that you might need. Then taking the hands and placing them underneath the shoulders. You're going to draw your legs together so that they become one long line. Turn your head straight. Glue the feet to the earth, but start to lengthen the spine and peel the chest away from the floor for a cobra pose. Nice. Keep it low, elbows tucked in. Good. Now use the strength of the lower back and the core. Lengthen the space around the waistband. Take another breath in. And exhale, lower yourself back down. Turning the opposite ear to the mat, relaxing the hands either side of the hips. You can take a breath in through the nose and a sigh to let it go. Let's take the same again. So hands come back underneath the shoulders. The tops of the feet are pressing against the ground. Take an inhale and peel your chest forward, elbows back, lengthen the back of the neck. Take another inhale. As you exhale, lower your body back down to the ground. Very slowly start to shift your hips backwards and take a child's pose. Maybe a nice deep breath in through the nose. And open your mouth, let it go. Take a couple of breaths here. Perhaps close the eyes. And when you're ready, reach the hands out, tuck your toes. Come back to a downward facing dog. Maybe a little wiggle from side to side. Shake out the hips, shake out the legs. And we're going to bring ourselves to the top of the mat. So you can step lots of little steps or maybe take a jump to arrive with the feet and the hands together. Beautiful. Folding over the toes. Then root through your feet. Take the arms over your head. Come to stand all the way up. And bring your hands through the center of your chest. So let's try a balance here. Bring your feet together, or maybe a small gap in between them. Let your hands rest either side of the hips. I'm going to take a tree pose. So we're going to start with the right leg standing. Feel the sole of the right foot connecting to the ground, and begin to peel your left knee in towards your chest. Nice. Maybe you grab hold of the front of the knee and just give it a little bit of a squeeze. We're going to turn the sole of the foot and place it on the inside of the leg. You can place it above or below the knee, but you don't want to be pressing the foot on the knee. You can even have the foot just a centimeter or two away from the floor if that's more comfortable today. So be where you need to be. Find a single point in front of you that isn't going to move and focus your gaze on that point. If you've found your balance and you're comfortable here, maybe you take the arms over your head. Keep pushing the sole of the foot against the leg and the leg back against the foot. And if it feels wobbly and you fall over, don't worry, come back in when you need to, when you're ready. Amazing, guys. Bring the hands back down through the heart center and release the foot to the floor. Have a little bit of a shake out of the right leg. And we'll try it on the other side. So there's always one side of the body where the balance is easier. So let's see what happens. Let's root down through the left leg this time. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. So give it a nice squeeze. Maybe that feels quite good. Have a little wobble, find your core, find your center of balance. And then when you're ready, take the sole of the foot onto the inside of the left leg. You can place it up high or keep it down towards the bottom of the leg. And have this sense of opposing pressure between the foot and the leg. Squeezing your core, maybe take the arms over your head. And if it's too much, come back down, bring the hands back to the chest. But if you've got your balance, see if you can hold it just for one more breath. And lower with as much control as you came in with. Place the foot back down to the floor. Amazing. Have a good shake out of the legs. And from here, we're just going to take the arms over your head. Look right up towards your thumbs. As you exhale, fold forwards and find the floor with the hands. Then turn your toes out. Heel toe your feet a little bit wider, turning the toes out. Then begin to drop your hips between your heels. We're coming into a squat position. Now, this was my least favorite pose for so many years because I found it so difficult. If, like me, this doesn't come naturally in your body, you can always place blocks underneath each of your heels like this, or you can sit on a block so that you're still getting into your hips. But you're trying to send your pubic bone forwards and lifting your chest, so you're really opening up into the hips. Settle your hands at the chest and see if you can find your breath. If you're struggling or straining over your breath, back out for a moment and come back in when you're ready. Amazing, guys. Take another inhale. As you exhale, place your hands to the floor. Start to lift your hips and come into a forward fold, heel-toeing your feet back hip width apart. Then catch hold of opposite elbows, bend the knees, and take a ragdoll as you sway from side to side. Maybe it feels good to take a breath in through the nose and exhale with a flutter of the lips. Nice, and then release the elbows, place the hands on the floor. Look up halfway as you inhale. Then place the hands down and step to your downward facing dog. And have a little bit of a wiggle. Take any stretches that feel good in your body. And just explore what it feels to move and breathe and just listen to what's going on in your body. Take these few moments, just take what you need. And then when you're ready, drop your knees to the floor. Sweep your feet from underneath you and come to a seated pose. So we're going to come together in seated, taking the feet out beneath you. If you find it more comfortable to sit on a block, you can place a block underneath your seat. You're going to stretch both of your feet out in front of you and peel your toes towards you. And maybe it feels good for the legs to touch, or perhaps you leave a little bit of space between them. You might want to use a strap for this one. You want to use a strap? You're going to take the spine as long as you can. Soften the shoulders down the back of your body. Scoop through your core and start to hinge at the hips towards your feet. There's no rush to get your hands to your toes or your head to your knees. It's much more important to keep a long spine. So your chest is lifted. Good. Using the strap to give you that extra space to stretch. And then scoop in through your belly to help you fold forwards, pushing through the soles of the feet to get a stretch through the back of the body. Nice. Try to keep your chest lifted. Nice. Take one more breath. One more exhale, fold a little bit deeper if there's space. And then as you inhale, peel your chest back open, bend the knees, and start to roll down onto the back of the body. So the 2 feet are connected with the ground. Bring yourself down using the hands if you need to. And then reaching for your heels, make sure you can touch the back of your heels with your fingertips. Your feet are about as wide as the hips, and you're pressing into your palms. As you press into the hands and the feet, you start to peel your hips away from the floor. Squeezing your glutes, so squeezing your bum, and maybe interlacing the hands behind your back. So rather than pushing up through the belly's drawing in and you're lifting the hips, creating space through the chest. Take another inhale breath. And exhale, release the hands and slowly guide your hips back down to the ground. Nice. Let your knees touch. And just feel that kind of rolling in of the thighs that spread through the back of the body. And maybe taking a second round. So bringing the feet back to hip width apart. Press into the feet, press into the hands. Start to peel the hips away from the ground. And breathe. Feel this lengthening through the front and the back of the body. Sending the knees forward, drawing the lower navel in. Take another inhale breath. And then slowly soften your body back down to the ground. Maybe letting the knees touch. Perhaps gathering them in towards the chest and squeezing the fronts of the shins. If that feels good for the body, you can have a little rock from side to side. And then place the feet back down onto the floor. Pressing into your feet, shift your hips just an inch towards the right side. And let your knees drop over to the left. You can take your arms out at shoulder height, or place them somewhere that gives you a nice stretch through the shoulders. And then take your gaze and your head to the opposite direction to your knees. And just feel the lengthening through the side of the body. Come back to the movement of your breath. And as you inhale, come back to center. Shuffle your hips an inch towards the middle, and then an inch to the other side. Then letting your knees drop over to the right side and turning your head in the opposite direction. Feeling the movement of breath through the sides of the body. Noticing the support of the ground beneath you. And then take your next breath, bring your knees back to the center, your hips into the middle of the mat. Maybe hugging the knees into the chest one last time. And then slowly start to lower the whole of your body onto the ground. taking your heels around hip width apart on the floor. Turning the backs of the hands to the ground and letting the palms face up. Maybe having a little shuffle of the shoulder blades to get comfortable on the ground. Taking our final pose of the practice, Savasana, or corpse pose, where we find ourselves in stillness, letting the weight of our body soften to the earth, letting all of the efforts of the practice drop away. And maybe you take a breath in through the nose and a big sigh to let it go. And then allow yourself to be here in stillness for these last few moments of class. Letting any thoughts that come into the mind just drop away with your next breath. And you can stay here for as long as you like. But when you feel ready, you can start to come back to the breath. You can start to notice the movement of the breath in and out of the body, and bring a little bit of that movement to your fingers and to your toes. Maybe you take a nice big stretch and reach your arms over your head. Maybe you bring your knees into your chest and squeeze them in tight. There's no rush, but you'll start to make your way onto the right side of the body when you're ready. And just pause there for a moment to be still. And then keeping the head heavy, push into your left hand to bring yourself up to seated. And as you bring yourself up to seated, come back to the sensation of your sit bones against the earth. Let the back of the body rest into the space behind you. And bring your hands to touch at the center of the chest. We set an intention for the class at the beginning of practice. Just coming back now to remember that intention and make an offering send all of your thoughts and the efforts of your practice in that direction. And then take a moment to acknowledge yourself for making your way through this whole yoga class. Take a moment to be grateful for this body, for allowing us to work through it, for the mind, for keeping us here on the mat. And then take a breath in through the nose. And a big sigh to let it go. Namaste.